Hi, everyone. Steve Adubato with my colleague, Mary Gemma. We kick off the program with Brendan Somerville, who is the co-founder and COO of Oishii. And Oishii, tell us where that name comes from, Brendan, and what it means.
Oishii means delicious in Japanese, and it describes our amazing strawberries and tomatoes.
Now, describe the firm, because I called you an agriculture entrepreneur. Is that a good description?
I think it is. So Oishii is an indoor vertical farming company. We're based here in New Jersey. We grow strawberries, some of the best in the world, at consistent quantity, quality, and price, pesticide-free year-round, using revolutionary indoor farming technologies.
And this is part of our series, This is New Jersey. Mary, see, a lot of people don't think this is New Jersey because they think it's all highways and byways. And
I flew into Newark and I saw the city, and is that all New Jersey is all about? And one of our friends over at Choose New Jersey had told us about Brendan. I said, this is the exact kind of segment that we need to be doing, and really talking about why this type of farming is important to our state, to our agriculture, and to our economy at the end of the day.
Yeah, and along those lines, Brendan, let me ask you this. It's vertical farming. What is vertical farming?
Sure. So for us, it's actually indoor vertical farming. So we grow indoors, which allows us to decouple from the outside climate. That enables us to grow 365 days a year. And vertical means inside of our farms, we're able to grow many levels. So unlike an outdoor farm that has just kind of one level on the ground, we're able to increase our yield through stacking levels indoors. So it's much more space efficient.
Mary, jump in, because I have a couple other questions.
I would love to. So Brendan, talk about.
By the way, my questions are also about your background.
No, that was going to be my question.
Okay, now, the Marine, Mary, go with the Marine question. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. So Brendan, your background as a Marine, how did you pivot? How did your interest go from being a Marine and doing that? Where did this interest in because you also, it wasn't just strawberries and tomatoes. Talk about how you went from point A, point B, and now to point C.
But Mary, hold on. It wasn't just the Marines. Not that there's just the Marines. He was an intelligence officer in the Marines. So go ahead.
Well, yeah, thanks for the question. The thread that I think ties everything together is being mission driven. For me, I have to have the why behind all of my work. And in the Marines, it was pretty clear, right? It's service to country and also service to fellow Marines. And agriculture technology, really the problems that we're solving are also bigger than ourselves. So our vision is we want to create a future with sustainable, climate resilient agriculture. So I needed to be able to have something that I'm deeply passionate about. For transition, a lot of people think the military and entrepreneurship are diametrically opposed, and in many facets, I think they are, but they intersect in very important ways at the center of the Venn diagram. I think it's, working in a mission-driven organization, having to deliver against all odds in certain circumstances, and in many cases, having much more responsibility at a more junior kind of age than you would in the private sector in both military and entrepreneurship. So for me, the transition wasn't too difficult.
But your passion for the military and Marine Corps is clear. You communicate that clearly. But your passion for agriculture comes from where?
Yeah. So, when I was actually in military intelligence, I started thinking deeply about cause of conflict and what are civilizations fighting over today, but also what are we going to be fighting over in 100 years? And the deeper I dug, the more conviction I had that food security, driven by a shifting climate, could be a major conflict driver of the next century. So this was over a decade ago when that conversation around climate change and sustainability wasn't really at the forefront. At that time, there wasn't very many people delivering new technologies for climate resilient agriculture. So I wanted to tackle a big problem, and agriculture was one of the biggest I could find, alongside energy and water, of course.
Good stuff.
So you're telling us you're an underachiever then. I actually have a quick follow-up on that, Steve, if you're all right with that. Obviously, you don't do any of this.
You don't have to ask, Mary. Just go.
Usually Steve will throw to me, Brendan. So, but anyhow, so obviously being a Marine, it's all about partnerships. It's all about teamwork. But really your work and in co-founding Oishii and how you got here, talk about that connection between leadership and partnerships, because none of this happens in a vacuum or in a silo.
Absolutely. Partnerships are everything. I think there's two principles that are critically important to a successful partnership. One, the foundation is trust and integrity.
Absolutely.
This partnership, it's like your marriage, right? You spend more time with your business co-founder than you do your family. And your reputation, your financial future, and everything you're building is very closely entwined. And the second is mission alignment, right? You have to be very clear about what you're trying to build, and all partners need to be on the same page. So I'm lucky my co-founder Hiroki and I had very purposeful conversations early on. Were we looking to build a business that we would just, sell very quickly, or were we trying to build something for the long term that could create a paradigm shift? And we both deeply trust each other to make the right decision for the business and not for ourselves.
And before we let you go, appreciate your comments about trust and partnerships, but also this your experience in Uganda. What was that, very quickly? Because I was struck by that in your background.
I started avocado and coffee companies working with smallholder farmers in Uganda. So this was kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from indoor vertical farming, in that it was basically no technology. And really, my transition to indoor farming was based on the view that climate change was affecting our growing in these regions, plant disease as well, very quickly. And my view was, if these smallholder farmers aren't going to have a success in the future unless we build climate resilient agriculture. So I turned that over to my local business partner on the ground. I do believe that indoor farming, conventional farming, greenhouse farming, big farms and smallholder farmers, we're all here trying to do the same thing, which is grow sustainable food and deliver profitability while also doing that. So I stay deeply connected to the entire agriculture ecosystem.
Agricultural leadership any different from regular old leadership?
I think the principles really tie together nicely across the board. For us, it's one, leading by example, not asking anybody to do something you wouldn't do yourself as a leader. Second is building a culture of teamwork. We call it one team, one fight, just like we do in the military inside of Oishii. And the final is, as a leader, being at the point of friction, identifying what are the challenges in your businesses, and that's where you need to be as a leader. So I think those principles, stand in private and public sector.
Great stuff. Hey, Brendan, I want to thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Mary.
That's Brendan Somerville, co-founder and CEO of Oishii. Good stuff. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, the Helix, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Fedway Associates Inc., Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Veolia, Resourcing the World, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com. That's stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media.
Life is unpredictable. Health insurance shouldn't be. For over 90 years, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey has provided quality, affordable health plans to New Jersey residents. We have served generations of New Jersey families and businesses and are committed to driving innovations that put you at the heart of everything we do. Our members are our neighbors, our friends, and our families. We're here when you need us most. Horizon, proud to be New Jersey.
Lessons in Leadership would like to thank our newest sponsors who make our programming possible, including the Helix, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. We're now joined by Deborah Visconi, who's President and Chief Executive Officer of Bergen Newbridge Medical Center. Deb, good to have you with us.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You got it. We're going to put up the website of Newbridge. Tell everyone what it is and the work that you and your colleagues do every day.
Bergen Newbridge Medical Center, the largest hospital in the state of New Jersey. We are publicly owned and privately managed. We are a safety net facility serving the residents and communities of northern New Jersey. We are 1,070 beds under a 1 million square foot roof sitting on 62 acres of Bergen County property in Paramus, New Jersey. We have several distinctive service lines that set us apart from many of the hospitals and health systems in the area. Most notably, we have a very large and prominent behavioral health and mental health service line. We have a very large and growing and thriving substance use disorder service line. We have a long-term care division, so we are able to take care of the aging community in our county. And we have a very large and robust community health network, as well as an ambulatory care enterprise that reaches throughout the county of Bergen and beyond.
Yeah, let me ask you this, and also want to note that Deb Visconi was identified as number 2 on the 2004 NJ Biz Healthcare Power List. So congratulations on that, Deb.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's really a testament to the work of the team here at Bergen Newbridge. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I often say in our leadership programming that all the credit when someone at the top of an organization, when that credit gets pushed down, the blame and responsibility, Deb, always goes up. Is that true?
The credit, but it's really
So the blame part we have to take as leaders.
The blame, yes, the blame. The credit goes to the team.
Always, always. Deb, let me ask you this, because this conversation is part of our Lessons in Leadership series, but I also want to potentially use it on our one-on-one series as well. I'm curious about your journey to this position, to be the CEO of this very significant healthcare organization in these incredibly challenging times in hospital and healthcare, and the hospital and healthcare profession. Your journey, describe it, how you got to this position.
I started my career in healthcare as a phlebotomist. So I was born.
Is that blood?
Yes, that's the people who draw blood, the early morning people that come to your room in the hospital.
That's you.
That was me. But I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I come from an underserved family. And one of the things that I saw firsthand growing up was the lack of access to quality health care in my community, and in particular for our family. And so I always had it in me to try to change the world, to make sure that everyone had equitable access to quality health care, that no one should suffer, be ill, or die from not being able to get equitable access to care. And so that's always was part of who I was growing up. And so living in Brooklyn, growing up in that area of Brooklyn, New York, and then moving to Queens eventually, wanted to get into healthcare. My mother wanted me to be a nurse. I chose a different path. I chose medical laboratory science. So I am a lab tech by clinical background, started as a phlebotomist, grew into the lab tech world, got on the bench, worked in a number of New York City hospitals as a bench tech in microbiology, knew that I wanted to continue to progress my career so that I can get to a point where I can make the most difference to the communities that we serve, and went ahead and got my master's degree in health administration and was armed in 1992 to take over the world with my new degree, and just grew my career through administrative ranks, serving hospitals in the New York region primarily, eventually moving into the New Jersey market, focusing on service lines and growth and community access to populations around the hospitals that I worked in. And eventually, I live in Bergen County, New Jersey. I've been here for 29 years, raised my family here. Eventually, this opportunity presented itself to be the leader, the president and CEO of the county-owned hospital. And, I looked at it, and it was presented as a transformational opportunity to take.
What does that mean? What does that mean, a transformational opportunity?
So it had a bit of a sordid reputation. It wasn't very well regarded.
There were real challenges.
There was quite a few challenges here, yes. And so the transformation was about making this into a destination hospital in the state of New Jersey and transforming this county asset into the asset that it deserved to be and that the communities deserved. And so it used to be run by for-profit. Now, we went from for-profit to not-for-profit, and went into creating an asset for everyone in our county and the northern region of the state, for anyone who needs access to care, anyone who needs access to quality care. We are partners with a clinical affiliate of Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School. We work very closely with some community partners, Care Plus New Jersey and Integrity House, in delivering on that mission to be a destination hospital in the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, let me ask you, it's so interesting, your journey and also the history of Newbridge before it was named Newbridge and before this transformational opportunity / challenge came up. But I'm curious about this. Because you've been in the healthcare and the hospital world for a couple of years, what would you say the most significant long-term impact of COVID was and is on the world of health and healthcare and hospitals?
I would say undeniably, it's the recognition that health disparities and unequal access to care was something that had always existed, but it was exacerbated by the pandemic. And I believe that all of us as health leaders have had this responsibility to recognize that, embrace it, acknowledge it, and respond to it. And I think that has been transformative for the industry.
Before I let you go, during COVID, the worst times, you remember people were celebrating our heroes in healthcare, nurses, doctors, physicians, other folks in the hospital community who were just putting their lives on the line every day, extraordinary heroes. How did we lose that?
You know, I think that we will always recognize the people who deliver healthcare to their communities. We will
They're
always.
still heroes. Whether people acknowledge it,
still-
they're still heroes. I'm sorry, Deb, go ahead.
They are still heroes, and we may not be standing outside banging on pots and pans and cheering them on, but the communities that we serve and the communities that need us recognize the heroic impact that the professionals have.
You know, again, for those who act like when that happened in March of 2020 and those many months and years after, that somehow those healthcare heroes are not heroes, you're sadly mistaken. And when we go into a hospital, you know what those folks do for us and our family members. And so they'll always be heroes. And to Deb Visconi and your team at Newbridge, I want to say thank you for your work. Deb Visconi is president and CEO of Bergen Newbridge Medical Center. Deb, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
You guys stay with us. We'll be right back. Lessons in Leadership would like to thank our newest sponsors who make our programming possible, including The Helix, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Welcome back, Steve Adubato, with my colleague Mary Gamba. Mary, you just saw the interview I did with Deb Visconi. It's interesting at Newbridge Medical Center. I don't know how much you know about the background because you're a lot younger than I am, but I will say this, that hospital, before it changed that name and there was this transformation that Deb talked about, real challenges and a public reputation that was less than glowing. Serious problems and challenges there. That being said, what do you say when someone comes in, people call someone a turnaround artist or, you know, they're a transformative leader, but in many ways, you're taking over an operation that's had real problems. You're not taking over a winner in sports. And again, you know, I always find a way to bring sports into it. You ever see coaches who come in and take over a team that hasn't had a winning season for years, and then 3 years later, they're in the Super Bowl, they're in the World Series, they're in the NBA championship, college team, the same thing? Like, what do you think it takes to come into a situation where you haven't been winning for a long time?
That is a sign of a true leader, in my opinion. There's even people in my orbit that I know, family members, friends, who their job is they're a fixer. They go in and they fix things. And I think, in my opinion, it's one of the strongest traits of leadership because you're not going in for the instant win. You're not going in to be the coach of a winning team. You're not going in Deb's case, to be the president and CEO of a great hospital system that's thriving and has such a great reputation. But you're taking that risk and you're putting that responsibility on your own shoulders and the confidence. And you and I talk about confidence a lot on Lessons in Leadership. And that takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of resilience. But as Deb said, you can't do that without the team around you and building up that team around you. So it is about your own confidence, but then creating a culture where you can follow me and I will get you to that finish line. And that also has a lot to do with painting a vision of where you want that organization or that football team or that NBA team to get to.
Yeah. Alvin, do me a favor while you're directing, doing audio work, because Frank took the afternoon off. Frank Brown took the afternoon off. Oh, no, he's on vacation. He's flying back. He's going to be mad at me for teasing him. Elvin, do me a favor, come on. Trust me, I never bring Elvin on for frivolous reasons. Well, sometimes I do, but this isn't frivolous. Elvin, let me try this. So again, let's use sports as a metaphor for all kinds of situations. You've been in media leadership for a long time, right? What about someone who comes into a network, a TV station, a media organization, and the track record ain't good? The ratings aren't good, the financials aren't good, the reputation's not good. You've seen that. It's easy to come into a first-class operation, but what do you think it takes, regardless of the venue, sports, media, whatever industry, hospital world, healthcare, to come into a situation where the team's been losing for a while?
So unfortunately, I feel like you have to come in and you have to come in with a good attitude, but you also have to keep it real with everyone that you're going to be working with to explain to them there are going to be a lot of changes. There are going to be some tough decisions made. Some people may get laid off, some people may be cut, but at the end of the day, your job is to get that TV station or that basketball team moving in a positive direction. And sometimes you have to trim the fat because you may have people on that team that are just negative and don't want that station or that team to be better. So unfortunately, you have to make those necessary cuts.
Well, for those who don't know Elvin, I'd be surprised if you're watching our series, you don't know Elvin. He's our director and sage. I just wanted to put that as a chyron. Sylvester, director and sage, lessons in leadership. He's a young guy, but he's wise beyond his years. But stay on this. And Scarlett behind the camera shaking his head, and he agrees, but I also question his judgment because we were talking about Shohei Ohtani recently, and I said, geez, this whole gambling thing has to be resolved. And Scarlett behind the camera, I'll come back to losing teams in a minute. Elvin, do you know that Scarlett said, he doesn't look like a gambler? And I said, what do you mean? He said, he loves dogs, and people who love dogs are not gamblers.
I've never heard of it. I don't know where he's going with that.
Yeah, he's laughing hysterically.
And what do gamblers look like?
What do gamblers look like? And then he described a gambler, and I was like, I know my dad liked to gamble, and he didn't look like that. But I'll leave that alone. People who watch Lessons in Leadership are saying, Adebayo has absolutely no strategy. He just says whatever comes into his mind. That being said, go back to the winning-losing thing. How hard is it, Elvin and Mary, to convince other team members, right, who have been losing for a long time? You're trying to create a winning culture, but they've been losing for so long, Mary, and then I'll come back to Elvin. They're not believing it. So as a leader, are you faking it that you believe we can win, or do you really believe we can win? Which one is it?
You have to really believe it, right? If you want to get your No, I don't think you can fake it. You can fake your disappointment as you move along. You can fake your anxiety. Of course, you don't want to show every single emotion and wear every emotion on your sleeve.
Fear.
But what?
Fear. Can't show it?
Exactly. But if you don't truly believe that your team, that you can get your team to be where they want to be, where they need to be. And sure, you can't just make up numbers and say, we're going to, go from being like, winning no games to being in the World Series next year, but set realistic expectations, set the goals, but most importantly, let your team know how you're going to get there. What are you going to do as a leader, and what do you need them to do as a team in order to bring the team together to that winning point?
But Elvin, no one's going to say, I don't want to win. They're going to say, of course I want to win. But go back to what you said before. There are a lot of team members who very often, whether they articulate it or not, they're not really willing and or able to do the things necessary to sacrifice. And you call it fat. Let's say fat what it is. What you're really saying is some people you don't think you need moving forward. That's hard for people who have been living fat off the land for a long time. I know, Mary, I'm sorry, I don't mean that as in a pejorative sense.
No, I mean, you're right.
Go ahead, Elvin.
So
because they don't see themselves as fat.
They don't see themselves as fat, and they hide behind the fact that, oh, I do this and I do that. When in actuality, they do nothing, and they have a negative and they have a negative attitude. And every time you ask them to do something, it's oh, we can't do it this way, or oh, that's not going to work. How about bring me ideas on what is going to work instead of telling me everything that's not going to work? And that way, you know who is on your side and who's not on your side. Because if you can't bring me a positive idea, then what are we doing here?
Imagine, to Elvin's point, I know people, and I've coached people in my life as a leadership and communication coach, who we do a lot of Mary schedules and organizes a lot of our coaching, and she does a lot of coaching herself. Elvin, you know what? I have an hour coaching session with someone, and they'll spend the first 45 minutes telling me what's wrong with the organization. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
The company is paying for this person to be coached by our company, Stand and Deliver, and they're using the time to say the company sucks. What?
And what they should be doing is, knowing that the company hired you, they should be giving you on ideas on how to change the company. So hopefully you take that back to their manager and say, you know what? So-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. And maybe the people that hired you will say, you know what? That's a great idea.
But also, Elvin, shouldn't they also, to your point, Mary, shouldn't they also be saying, I've got this communication leadership coach. They can help me be better, and I should be about the business of getting better myself, instead of saying this organization, the leadership. They'll often tell me the leadership makes terrible. What are you in? Well, I'm not part of leadership. They're paying for you to get coached. Go ahead, Mary.
Part of the problem is the fact that they're not seeing themselves as leaders. How many people that we coach literally say those words? Well, I want to have this title, a senior VP title, just to come up with any title, but they're not acting as if they are that, right? So we'll often say act as if. If I want to be the CEO of a company, I need to act as if I'm a CEO. What does that mean? Take myself seriously, follow up with my team, ask my team how they're doing. If I don't act that way, I can't be expected to ever be elevated or have that title. So you need to act as if you are that title.
Wow. Elvin, we were working with a top-level executive in an organization. Mary and I were talking to her yesterday, and she was actually saying that one of her people, every time the person comes in, he keeps saying he wants a certain title. That's what he talks about. And it's a top-level executive, and she said to him, act as if you are.
That's right. Dress the part, act the part.
And that's in anything in life. That is right, Elvin. We talk about it. Happy, be pleasant, be kind, act as if, and that goes in all aspects of life, not just in business.
Isn't it amazing how the three of us can come together and have such a impactful conversation with any script? And also, Scarlett, I want to thank you for your insight and wisdom on the fact that people who own dogs are usually not gamblers.
I didn't really mean that. I just wanted to defend the guy.
You wanted to defend Shohei Ohtani.
Because I like the guy.
I like the guy too.
Yeah.
I like
Elvin,
the guy, but that's just a
liking
weird
someone doesn't mean they're not guilty.
Exactly.
Leave it there.
I ain't buying what
Goodbye,
they're
Steve.
I
selling.
don't know what the truth is. While we're doing this program, Scarlett, I don't know what the truth is. By the way, do you know for a fact that he's a dog lover?
Yes.
Okay, I take it. I take you at your word. The stuff that goes on this show behind the scenes, that's a whole nother show. For Mary, Scarlett, Elvin, Sylvester,
Frank.
Amy, April.
And Frank.
Frank still works here? Okay.
Yeah.
Frank Brown, we love Frank Brown. He is the best. We'll see you next time. Out of control. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, the Helix, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Fedway Associates Inc., Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Veolia, Resourcing the World, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com. That's stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media.